Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Long Rest Podcast, the podcast where we talk about video games, the video game industry, and surrounding media. Joining me today are my co-hosts. Fucking hell! I always fumble the intro. Joining me today are my co-hosts Joseph. We've brought Izzy back on the show for a permanent fourth person, and also Diggy Sean. So preface this podcast by stating that we did record this podcast last night.
And it was amazing. It was really good.
It was the best we've ever done.
It was the best we've ever done, and you're never going to see it because we ran into a bug with OBS. So we're going to blitz fire through a bunch of the topics that we went through last night, just for the sake of not repeating ourselves too much. So everyone, try and act candid, try and act surprised when you hear these topics, like you've never heard them before. I want to see some big old pog faces. First off, we haven't had any updates on Anthem's fate yet. EA executives haven't came to a decision. I was thinking maybe they'd have gotten to a decision today and that we could have an update on it, because there wasn't an update yesterday either, but nope. So I just wanted to pose the question to you guys, same question I posed yesterday. Do you think Anthem should continue? It's a game that's had tens of thousands of hours of man-hour put into it. It's clearly like they clearly do care about the game.
I definitely feel as though it shouldn't be dropped completely. Because I don't know. Shit, I'm trying to remember what I said yesterday now. Because I feel I had a good point. But
if people are still playing it, they should keep it up.
Yeah, if people are still playing, then
the player purchase isn't there though.
EA have absolutely no qualms about shutting down games that have big player bases, though.
But that sucks, and they shouldn't do it. I don't understand why that's a thing.
That's just the mark of Electronic Arts, isn't it? That's like they're all about money. If a game doesn't get enough players, then they will pull the plug on it.
Yeah.
Look at games like Battleforge. Then you guys remember Battleforge? Ross Scott did a video on it, and I actually have played it.
Was that the one on Steam?
I don't think it was on Steam. It might have been, but it was essentially a hybrid trading card / RTS game. So you could put units on the battlefield, and you'd you'd have cards, and whatever card you play would put a unit on the battlefield. It's a long time ago that I played it now because EA did shut it down. I remember my stepdad showed it to me because he's really into RTS games. He really liked playing Warcraft 3. Warcraft 3 was the first RTS game I ever played. And also, speaking of Warcraft, WoW Classic is getting Burning Crusade. We had BlizzCon yesterday. Yesterday I posed the question to you guys. Do you think that it's ethical that Blizzard are now churning out their old content, even if it's for free?
Because it's under the subscription, isn't it?
Yeah, it's under a subscription.
Yeah. See,
Classic or something.
Yeah, well, the Warcraft
I think
Classic.
it's okay when it's under a subscription because you're getting other things for that subscription as well. But how much was it again? It was like 11.
It's like $11.99 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we all agreed that was like a little bit steep because comparing that to the cost of an actual game and comparing that to the cost.
I mean, you need to buy the game as well. You need to buy WoW as well.
Is that right?
Yeah, you buy it every time a new expansion comes out. No, if you buy WoW now, right? You'll have to spend. It depends what version you want to play. You can spend £9.99 on just WoW, right? And you'll get everything apart from the newest expansion, so everything apart from Shadowlands. But if you want to play Shadowlands, which is the newest shit, you need to spend £49.99 on Shadowlands.
$49.99. That is a steep step.
Okay, it's the one before that. But what happens is once Shadowlands is finished and done,
you have to pay $45 for the next one.
You have to pay $45 for the next one, and Shadowlands will become free. Yeah. But what they're doing with Shadowlands is, in order so they don't have to make it free, is they're bringing it out in stages every year instead of bringing out new DLC. So it's like, oh no, it's still just Shadowlands. You still have to pay for it.
We didn't cover that yesterday, and now I'm a little bit mad about it.
Yeah, I don't think that's ethical.
No, definitely not.
I don't know if you've seen this as well, but Shadowlands, they've lowered the level cap in Shadowlands. So before, with each subsequent expansion of in World of Warcraft, the level cap would be raised by 10. Okay. And the highest level cap pre Shadowlands was 120. but now they've brought it back down to 60, which is the original game's level cap. So what that says is to me is that the numbers are getting too high. You know, we talked about it. We talked about this the other day, Izzy and Sean. We were talking about RPG games and how, you know, when you play a game and you get to like the later game levels, you're not actually progressing your character. You're just getting items that just have bigger numbers on them.
Yeah.
Like the numbers in Warcraft are insane now. Like you get mobs with like tens of like hundreds of thousands of health, like millions of health sometimes, and like if they were to raise that again, I think it would just be taking the piss a little bit, because I mean,
no, definitely.
if you play a raid or a dungeon or something like that and you have DPS numbers on and they're just fucking flying all over the screen and the number strings are like so long that you can't, like, not even a chimpanzee would be able to read and memorize them.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah,
They're taking down the item levels as well, so yeah, they are trying to squish the numbers.
yeah, that's what I mean.
Like item levels in vanilla used to be 62, like around 60, like that was the highest item level, 60, 70, and I think they got up to about 500 per item. But they're being squished back down.
Yeah, it's really indicative of the kind of state that World of Warcraft's in, to the point where they feel like they need to just constantly keep on going back to older content. And
did you know that a gold coin in World of Warcraft is worth more in legal tender than like a Zimbabwe dollar?
I think I did hear about that, yeah, but I think that like that's a market that sets itself, really, isn't it? Because that's just, like
I mean, it's no, WoW. I mean, Blizzard sets the market price for gold because you can directly buy gold by buying a month membership for $8.99. Or like whatever, however much it is, you get a membership coin. You can just translate it into gold on the auction house.
You could actually play World of Warcraft for free. I don't think many people know about this, but you can play
up to level 20.
Yeah, up to level 20. Is that the same in Shadowlands still?
You can't do anything though. Like you can't trade.
Well, you can,
I don't think you can talk.
You can twink build in Battlegrounds.
You can what?
You can twink build in Battlegrounds.
I don't think you can. You can't go into Battlegrounds or dungeons.
But here's my thought though, is if they're lowering the level cap back down to 60, is it still going to take the same amount of time to get from 1 to 60 as it is in Classic?
I don't know, probably.
Yeah, because
they'll probably squish it like that, but they'll have to change the starting level stuff. Then it might only be from level 1 to 5.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, because like in Classic, like it takes a while to get from 1 to 20. Like the first 10 levels.
Because the free mode, the free mode used to be that you got an hour for free, and you could just do whatever you wanted in that hour.
Yeah. But
then it changed to
I'm glad they removed that restriction, because I actually started off, because like I haven't played live WoW in a long time. Me and Nathan and stuff, we used to just play private servers. No subscription fees. We can just level. We can do everything that we can do in the main game, except we're playing on an expansion that we actually like know more about.
With legally obtained ROMs.
Well, I mean,
legally obtained ROMs.
Yes, it was all legal. Sean. It was all very on board.
You purchased the ROM off the black market.
Yeah. Well, speaking of BlizzCon, we had a few new game announcements. Diablo 2 Remastered is finally coming out. As I said yesterday, if you guys know me, you'll know that I love Diablo. Me and Sean used to play it a lot in college. It was one of my favorite RPGs to play. My dad actually got me into Diablo. He really liked it. I never played Diablo 3 that much. I know Diablo 3 had a really shitty markup, like an auction house. I can't really. There was a big controversy around it, and I can't remember exactly what the details were around it. Sean,
I think it was just a lot worse. Like the classes were just not as interesting.
Well, yeah, the classes weren't as interesting. But there was also
story wasn't very good.
Well, Diablo 4 we also got a new trailer for Diablo 4. That's not coming this year. But they're bringing back the Rogue from Diablo 1, which is pretty cool. I never played that much of Diablo 1. I only played Diablo 2 because Diablo 2 is
Diablo 2 is like probably the best one. Like if you're looking for an experience like that, you're either nowadays you want to play Diablo 2 or Path of Exile.
Yeah. It seems Blizzard are also learning from their mistakes. Did you guys hear about the Warcraft Reforged controversy, Joe and Izzy?
No,
I don't know what the controversy was.
Okay, so essentially, Blizzard were, like, people had been asking for a very long time, please bring out a HD version of Warcraft 3, because it runs on modern hardware perfectly fine, but like you can't play it in 1920 by 1080. It still looks fairly ugly. You know, there are lots of like quality of life improvements.
It's a very old game.
Yeah,
it's a very old.
It is a very old game, and there are plenty of quality of life improvements that they could make to the game to bring it up to like 2021 standards, and or at least 2020, I should say, because it came out last year. And basically, they released a bunch of promotional content saying that all of the cutscenes in the game were going to be redone. And if you know anything about Blizzard, they do fucking awesome cutscenes.
Yeah,
like
even the old ones, like you can watch them now and be like, ooh.
So we were expecting like fully rendered like Halo 2. Did you guys see the Halo 2 anniversary edition that came out with the Master Chief Collection? If you go look at the cutscenes for that game, they're all like totally redone. They're not done in engine, they are pre-rendered, but they look fucking incredible. And so we were sort of expecting something like that. But instead they literally just all they did was they updated the textures. They remade a bunch of the models to be sort of like higher fidelity, and they did all of the same cutscenes in the original Warcraft 3, just in the new version of the game with no cinematics whatsoever. It literally is just like text boxes, and occasionally someone will do an animation to represent what they're doing, and that was it. And there was a bunch of stability issues. I don't know if you guys actually know this, but do you know where Dota comes from? You know Dota 2, the game, a really big esports game? That was originally a Warcraft 3 map. It was called Dota All Stars, and it started out on Warcraft 3, and lots of people played it. And so what Blizzard turned around and said as soon as they launched the game was, by the way, if you make any mini games because Warcraft comes with its own map editor, and it's a very robust tool. You can make quite a lot with it. But they turned around and said, if you make anything with this map editor, we own it, because they want to avoid another Dota situation where somebody comes up with something really great and then moves on to sell it. And so that was just a big kick in the face to anybody, like the whole map making community for Warcraft 3, who were all very excited to be, finally having a new platform to be sharing their stuff on. Yeah, I remember there was the Warcraft 3 professional scene, because there is surprisingly still a professional scene for Warcraft 3. A bunch of professional players ran into just lots of stability problems while in the middle of games that had money on the line, to the point where games had to be restarted. And they eventually just went back to the original version of the game. And if you actually owned Warcraft 3 on Battle.net, you could not revert back to you couldn't just keep your old version and opt out of buying Warcraft Reforged.
That's so scummy.
Yeah, you still if you want to play Warcraft 3, the original Warcraft 3, now you have to turn to alternative sites. But
surely they'd want to avoid that. They're that kind of company, so they should definitely be giving you that option. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know. Blizzard have been for a long time. Blizzard was sort of hailed as being one of the last bastions of they're a gamer friendly company, the same way that we saw CDPR and Bethesda and a bunch of companies really. Honestly, come to think of it, what other companies could you guys think of that have that reputation of being consumer friendly now? I suppose Rockstar haven't really done anything shady before.
Friendly, it's usually smaller companies. Most big companies don't.
It's sad when you've got to think of people who haven't done shady stuff as opposed to singling out the people who have.
Yeah, it's weird.
Quite sad that it's the majority these days.
5-10 years ago, you wouldn't have thought that about any of these companies though. Bethesda were really on the ball. Blizzard, everyone loved Blizzard. Witcher 3, Cyberpunk, Witcher 3 CDPR, everyone loved them. Even the Call of Duty games, before they started going into being just yearly shovelware. Everyone loved Treyarch and Infinity Ward, and they didn't have any sort of predatory business models like skins or battle passes or loot crates or anything like that. People love them. I think it's just a sign of where the industry is going now, really.
Yeah,
I'm reading a bit more about Warcraft 3, and it says here that they've actually retroactively removed features that were in the original version.
Mm-hmm.
But why?
Apparently
surely the whole point was to make it better.
They've taken out clans, tournaments, LAN and offline play, ranked ladder play, You can't launch custom campaigns, so just there's that gone. You can launch campaigns through the editor, but like who's gonna what normal person would know about that?
Yeah.
Also, it was meant to make it so the classic like World of Warcraft, because it had like all its ranked stuff. It was meant to make it so you could like merge your accounts, but in merging the accounts, it deletes your data.
Oh,
That's so
that's
fucked up.
awful.
Nothing like you hear people be like, nothing's sacred anymore, but that's really true.
Yeah, like how can they get away with that though? Because that's not even being shady. That's just straight up slapping you around the face and being like, "You bought a product. Fuck you."
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
how?
this isn't even like the only controversy that Blizzard have been embroiled in, is it? Did you guys hear about the Hearthstone thing?
No.
I don't believe so. I don't follow Hearthstone that closely anymore.
Well, it was more to do with China, really.
Mm.
Does it ring any bells? No. Oh well, I've got a story for you. So essentially, do you remember last year when the Hong Kong riots were going on because Hong Kong they're a
Oh yeah, I remember.
yeah they're a sovereign state and they want to stay that way and they want to like free themselves from Chinese tyranny essentially. Well, there was a Hearthstone player, a Taiwanese Hearthstone player, and he won a tournament and he was having a post game interview with the casters, and he came on wearing a gas mask, and he yelled into the mic, a "Free Hong Kong, revolution of our time," and the casters like hid behind the monitors, and like Blizzard took down the VOD. They cancelled all of his. They retroactively cancelled his tournament winnings, banned him from future events, and released a public apology. And Blizzard are partially owned by Tencent.
It's a majority stake. They're fully owned by Tencent now.
Yeah, so like it was blatantly obvious that they're appealing their Chinese overlords.
Yeah.
So everyone was kicking off about that because they were like, they were saying for a very long time, we believe in free speech and all of this stuff, and yet they've just went and banned like a winner of a Hearthstone tournament.
God!
Took all of his money off of them.
Did you see Did you see when it was Pride Month last year? All the Blizzard accounts on Twitter had Pride flags on them, apart from the fucking Chinese one.
Oh, that's a good look.
We spoke a little bit about Steam China last week. It'll be interesting to see if Valve have to make any further concessions to their I mean, it's a good thing because I'm pretty sure Steam China is like a totally different platform to actual Steam. But if Tencent, because Tencent have fucking money to give out, if Tencent put any money into Valve, things could go south. But I mean, I suppose we'll just have to see. One of my really big fears is that, like, although Steam is a very reliable platform, one day it could just go down. It could just go down permanently.
Me out so much because, like, I just think that all of my games are there, and that's the kind of risk you're taking when you buy everything digitally.
Good old games is DRM free.
That is true. That is true. There are games. There are websites like Game Copy World or something like that. It's it where you can just like crack a game. And personally, like I've never seen anything wrong with cracking a game. If you buy it, you own it. You can do whatever you want with it.
Yeah, definitely.
Stealing games, that's wrong.
You wouldn't steal a handbag.
If I ever pirate a game, it's just so I can try before I buy, because I do like supporting the developers. I never like feeling like I've gotten I've stolen anything. It's not a real. It's not.
I always feel really guilty when I buy a game in a sale because I've been like, oh, I don't want to pay full price because I'm not sure. Then I end up putting like so much time into it, and then I'm just like, I would have paid full price for this twice over. I always feel guilty about that.
Well, I mean, I could be wrong. I am speaking, like I am sort of like just coming up with this off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure that developers will get a notice when a Steam sale's coming on, so they can. So they can determine their own prices. Yeah, mate.
You need to talk about Battleforge earlier, right? With EA's blessing, apparently some fans have brought back Battleforge. And in December 2020, after 5 years of development, Skylords Reborn is finally out. The fan project that set out to revive the unique RTS Battleforge after it was shut down in 2013.
Oh, that's cool. I'll have to check
and they've managed to do it. Hybrid card game, yeah. It's a fan-made game, multiplayer real-time strategy, collectible card game.
That sounds good.
And the game is completely free on their website at www.skylords.eu.
Oh, there you go. Well, I mean,
I love when that kind of thing happens.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, go fan-made stuff.
I mean, actually, yeah, that is one thing that Rockstar do wrong that I really don't agree with. They hate fan projects. They will issue DMCA takedowns to anything to do with their products.
That's so crazy.
Who is that?
Because...
Rockstar.
Oh, yeah.
They're getting a bit bad for that as well, aren't they?
Who?
Bethesda.
No.
Well, I mean,
I don't think
Bethesda don't own any mods or anything that people make on their games. Like, they're not that bad.
What did they do? They did something though.
They issued a takedown to Fallout 3 Fallout 4 Capital Wasteland, but that was because they were using voice lines from the original game.
Oh, I see.
So and like they have obviously actors have rights to their voices.
Definitely.
So they had no rights to put them in. But they said, if you're making a mod and you put all of your own voice lines in, we have no problem with it. I mean, I work on Skywind, and all of the voice work for Skyrim's done by voice actors. It's some of the voices that I've heard while beta testing the game sound scarily close to the source material, like scarily to the point where I'm like, is this allowed?
I'm really sucking off this Skylords team, right? But apparently also as well, they've rejigged the game so that the economy is free and there's no premium costs involved, and you can get everything that was in the game for free with the game.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to check that out, man.
We
sounds
love
sick.
to see it.
And they're also working on supporting new cards, balance updates, and PvE game modes and PvP seasons.
We love to see it.
Yeah, because Ross Scott did a video on the game, and in that game, because the servers were dead because EA pulled the plug on it a long time ago. He basically had to take on all the maps just solo. So he'd do 1v5s and stuff like that. There are 1v12 maps that he could have tried out, but he said he's not Korean, so. So it also also on gaming release news, Ninja Gaiden Master Collection is finally coming out. Joe sent me a link to it, and I lost my shit. Ninja Gaiden 1 is a masterpiece of a hack and slash game. I highly recommend anyone listening gets it when it comes out. If you're into,
is the Master Collection just a HD remake of 1, 2, and 3?
Yeah.
It's the Sigma versions.
Yeah, so
they were Redux versions in themselves.
Yeah, I was gonna say, will it be like Ninja Gaiden Black?
Well, it's really Ninja Gaiden's had a really weird release thing. So, I mean, Ninja Gaiden Black is do you remember Fable 1? So back in the days when DLC couldn't just be, when expansions couldn't just be downloaded digitally, they had to be, physical discs. Fable actually had an expansion pack called Fable: The Lost Chapters. And, and Halo 2. If you wanted to buy the Halo 2 maps, you had to buy the case.
God, you had to go into Granger Games in the town to get the new World of Warcraft update.
Yeah, I still have at my house. I'm pretty sure I've shown you them, Sean. I've still got my old boxes for Ben and Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King.
Neverwinter Nights.
Yeah. I still own a copy of the original Neverwinter Nights. Not that I need it now, but yeah,
I think I own SimCity behind me on PC, in a case.
You still got my copy of Neverwinter Nights at your house? But yeah, Ninja Gaiden came out with Ninja Gaiden Black. I'm pretty sure it just added a couple new modes. It added a couple of chapters where you play as Rachel, who's a character in the game. She's also it provides a totally different moveset. Some new costumes, and I'm pretty sure that was it. But then they released Ninja Gaiden Sigma on the PlayStation 3, which was again just Ninja Gaiden Black, but with new textures and new models and stuff.
And is that the same as Ninja Gaiden Sigma?
I almost fell for it. Fuck you. Ninja Gaiden 2, a great game. Ninja Gaiden 3 can go fuck itself. I'll buy the Master Collection for 1 and 2. I will not play 3.
I mean, even Ninja Gaiden 2 is it's owie.
Well, I mean, it takes away from, because Ninja Gaiden 1's very Metroidvania. It's very you'll find yourself backtracking a lot because it is an open world sort of thing, and the world's very interconnected.
I feel like Ninja Gaiden 2 just tries to be really extra. Like it's like, oh, 1 but more, when it could have just been like,
yeah, 1 is very classy, but 2 is very
Yeah.
like two wanted to show off what the engine could do with the Xbox 360. So there's a lot of dismemberment. You can weapon switch on the fly, which is a really really good update to the formula, because before there was a lot of menuing. If you
I
watch,
feel like it.
so
Sorry, go on.
I was gonna say, if you watch like a Ninja Gaiden speed run, like half of it is just them just clicking through menus and switching weapons and using items.
I was just gonna say, it feels like in Ninja Gaiden 2, they tried to speed the game up when it was already like at the perfect speed.
Yeah. Ninja Gaiden 1's very manageable. I feel like Ninja Gaiden 2, I struggled to get past the second boss.
There's just a lot going on in the second one.
Yeah, and the mechanics of the movement are slightly different as well. It doesn't feel as like, yeah. Either way, Ninja Gaiden's coming out. We also had Nintendo Direct. Skyward Sword HD's coming out, which ruffled a lot of people's feathers because a lot of people wanted news on Breath of the Wild 2, didn't get any, and Skyward Sword is like, it's a good Zelda game, but it's not the one that I think a lot of people wanted to get remastered. Izzy, you mentioned yesterday when we were talking about this that, lots of people want Majora's Mask to be remade, even though it already has.
Yeah, no, but I was sort of saying that in the timeline of Zelda games that kind of should be coming up next for a remaster, it did kind of make sense because like a lot of the other ones that had popularity that people wanted a remaster of, they've since had them. Like it might have been nearly a decade ago, but they've had them.
Yeah.
And I don't think Nintendo are looking to remaster Majora's Mask twice,
No.
sort of this soon.
But
But it's quite nice that you get the Joy-Cons with the Skyward Sword Joy-Cons. They're kind of nice.
Yeah.
I love me some like limited edition controllers. Hardware's always lovely to get with new stuff. Yeah.
Speaking of Nintendo remasters, they might not be interested in Zelda, but I forgot about this yesterday. They did remaster Super Mario 3D World last week.
Yeah, it just came out.
Hey,
Super Mario
how did
3D
they make
World,
that?
plus a brand new game, Bowser's Fury, on the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
It's
It completely went quiet on Zelda's 35th anniversary. Like nobody really talked about that at Nintendo.
yeah, honestly, if anything, I'd really like a remake of the original Zelda. Like it's all the same, like, archaic controls. It's like top down and stuff like that. You chuck swords at people, but I feel like that would be really cool if they would do something like
I
that.
don't know. They did that with the DS game where there was 4 years.
Yeah, Four
A Link
Swords.
Between Worlds.
Yeah, no, I mean, but that's that's
4 Swords as well.
that's
Yeah,
that's a Link to the Past you're thinking of.
I think 4 Swords as well, like the one that you said.
Yeah, Four Swords is like the multiplayer component of Link to the Past. It's the same.
Oh, well,
it's the
yeah.
same game essentially, but with a new story and like obviously it's 4-player co-op. But I mean, like, Link to the Past is probably the best Zelda game in my opinion, other than Majora's Mask. I like Majora's Mask because I'm a niche highbrow gamer, or highbrow niche gamer even.
I like Twilight Princess because I'm a little grunge kid.
I didn't like Twilight Princess. I had it on the Wii. I didn't interest me as much.
It would be nice if they came out with like a Zelda collection for the Switch. Like I'm not always one to enjoy collections.
They do most of that on the NES and SNES emulators that they sell, the mini ones.
Are the Zelda ones on there?
1,
Yeah.
2, and 3.
Yeah.
What? I have those. I have Nintendo Online. What the hell? How have I not noticed that?
Yeah.
Never mind. I completely revoke my statement.
You could also, I'm guessing, right? But you could probably buy all of the retro versions of all the games on the Nintendo Store for your Switch.
There's also Super Metroid on there as well, which I really like. 'Cause I love Super Metroid.
That's true. Yeah.
Sean, you'll be happy again. Silent Hill is reportedly getting 2 reboots the same way that we're covering this topic twice. One of which is apparently being worked on by the guys who made The Medium, Bloop Team, who, as we know, made a pretty awful game, whose name now escapes me. What game did Blooper Team make that nobody liked?
The Blair Witch Project.
That was it, yeah. Well, actually, I mean, Laserfear, I feel, was very divisive because a lot of people liked it, but a lot of people thought it was just very boring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mate Hayden, he loves Laserfear, and I played a bit of it. I thought it was a good game.
I played through Laserfear like 3 times, and I can see why people think it's boring.
Yeah.
Is it like a walking sim?
Yeah,
it's very
definitely.
much a walking sim. Yeah, and the tension isn't that thick.
Can you die at any point?
You can die at the end.
Yeah.
But it only resets you, and you just get the bad ending.
Oh, okay.
I saw an article on PC Gamer which suggested that Silent Hill should be given a Remedy. I completely agree with that. I think that Remedy have a very cinematic take to the way they do their games. Joe, we were talking yesterday about Control and how well they sort of managed to replicate the sort of SCP style sort of vibe.
Yeah.
One of my favorite parts of Control when I was playing it is there's like a place, like a containment chamber, and you'll walk past a guy and he's sat there and he's staring at a fridge.
Oh, that's my favorite mission.
Yeah, and he's like, please help me. I've been staring at this thing for like 36 hours, and if I blink, I'll die.
Yeah, it's awful.
And you can just choose to like it doesn't like he'll be sat there regardless of how long you play the game for until you choose to go and help him. I don't actually think there's a way to save him as the Joe.
I think he dies.
Yeah, he dies regard. Oh yeah, no, he has to die because that's how you there's a certain power that you get from because there's something in the fridge that you need to fight to purify it. But yeah, no, Remedy. I feel like Remedy, they did a good job with Alan Wake. The atmosphere of Alan Wake was really good, and I feel like if they were to, I feel like they'd be very good at sticking to the source material of Silent Hill.
They'd have to dial down on the violence though, on the combat.
To be fair on Alan Wake, right? It was only good because of its premise, and the actual gameplay was pretty repetitive and boring.
Well, I mean, the gameplay of Silent Hill is pretty repetitive and boring as well, but
yeah, the combat's not good. Let's be real, it's not great.
Silent Hill 1, look at Silent Hill 1. People praise Silent Hill 1 so much. The puzzle design and the combat of Silent Hill 1 is fucking atrocious, but the game hooks you. Like, you can't stop playing it. The game hooks you in because the world is so great. And I feel like Remedy did such a good job with how Control looks. Control is fucking gorgeous.
Yeah.
One of the best looking games I've ever seen in terms of art direction. I feel like if Remedy could touch Silent Hill and rub off some of their artistic qualities onto it, I think it would be a great game. Another sort of genre that we talked about yesterday that I really think would benefit from a Remedy touch is Lovecraftian. SCP is pretty Lovecraftian in itself. It's sort of SCP is very Eldritch horror, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of the SCPs are quite Lovecraft inspired. Yeah.
Yeah, well, because you get some minor SCPs and it's like where it's it's the coffee machine that gives you whatever you want out of it, even if it's like the insides of another human.
Tasty, love that.
Nice cup of Joe.
But some of the SCPs are just these like world-ending beings that live in outer space that we can't actually observe, or we can observe them but we can't contain them or anything like that.
And we can't comprehend quite how
Yeah.
immense it is, which is something so intense for the tiny human brain to handle, which I think is why they're so scary.
Well,
But that's a theme in a lot of Lovecraft stories. Like, a lot of the characters go insane in the stories.
Yeah, that's the number one convention of Lovecraftian horror.
Yeah.
It's fear of the unknown, as Joe said yesterday.
Yeah.
It's like at the end of it, the Mount of Madness. If you've read it.
Yeah.
There's another horror series which I think would not Rule of Rose. Rule of Rose is a really good game. Fatal Frame.
I've heard of
Mhm.
Fatal Frame. That's another really good series. We talked about that a little bit in another podcast we did. But Fatal Frame is like Japanese horror. It's so it's so nuanced and just well developed.
What's happened with Fatal Frame? Is it still going as a franchise, or is it
No,
dead?
It's dead.
When was the last game?
That's a good question. I'm pretty sure there was one out for the Wii.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain.
it was.
What Fatal Frame Maiden Zero on the Wii U?
On the
Was that
Wii
like
U.
2012 or something?
Oh, Maiden of Blackwater. I'm looking at it now. 2014.
You guys talk about this for a second.
2014 came out in 2014. But yeah, the
That's
Wii U.
pretty. Yeah, no wonder it's a dead franchise, and that probably sold about 10 copies.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Wii U only sold about 10 consoles, so.
Exactly, so everyone bought one. Actually, I may as well bring this up on the podcast for anyone who hasn't heard it. Shenmue 1 came out in 1998, I think, was it, Connor?
Yeah.
On the Dreamcast, and basically the cost of development was so high that in order for the company to break even, Yu Suzuki's company, every single Dreamcast owner had to buy 2 copies in order for Yeah, they would have had to have bought 2 copies, every Dreamcast owner, in order for the company to break even, which obviously didn't happen.
Yu Suzuki's
so
such
funny.
a hack. Did you see how much money Shenmue 3 had in development?
Yeah, I had a fair bit.
It got money from Sony, Epic Games, and had a massive Kickstarter on
Deep
various.
Silver, I think, were involved with it as
Yeah,
well.
Deep Silver involved. It had loads. It had money from various different platforms. It wasn't just Kickstarter. There were also like sort of like crowdfunding sites from different countries, like that like obviously won't have ever heard of Kickstarter. So like I'm pretty sure they had tens of millions of dollars to make this game, and what we got was just like. Well, we didn't get anything because Shenmue 3 never came out, and that's the end of that story.
Still waiting for it.
Yeah, we're still waiting for Shenmue 3. I really hope it comes out soon. I really hope it's good and doesn't disappoint everyone that's been waiting 20 years to play it.
Complete denial.
Complete denial of what, is he? What are you talking about?
I don't know, mate. Sorry, I just no idea.
What else did we talk about yesterday? Okay, we talked about Gina Carano, but we're not going to do that.
We're not
Don't
going
do that
to go down
again.
that rabbit hole again.
Yeah.
No, cancel culture.
Should we like put a thing like Gina Carano did this, and we talked about it in length, and it was awful. So we're just gonna move on.
I don't think we really got anywhere like into the topic anyway. Really, we just went off on about the Holocaust for about 20 minutes.
Yeah, Sean denied the Holocaust even happened. God, I don't think he's not here to defend himself because he might vehemently deny that he.
Oh.
Yeah, God, what a horrible person Sean is. I hope he doesn't watch this podcast. No, he didn't do that. But basically, the conclusion that we reached was cancel culture bad, Nazis bad, Gina Carano okay.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good summary there.
Gina Carano could have worded it differently, a lot differently.
Definitely.
She had an okay point though.
The point she was making was okay.
Yeah.
The way she made it was not.
We don't want to get into it. We
said let's not get into it, but we're
we're towing the line here, aren't we?
Yeah.
Let's draw that line.
Should we do a separate politics podcast, which is just like the most ill-informed political show on the internet?
Well,
I know nothing about politics. I just have a nose ring and pink hair, so that says all you need to know.
I just regurgitate all of my opinions from Jordan Peterson because I don't have an original thought in my head.
I'm just an NPC, bro.
Well, let's talk about NPC energy. That's not a topic that I have written down. But let's talk about NPC energy. Is it you work at CEX? How many of your co-workers would you say? For anyone who doesn't know, outside of the UK, CEX is a game store. Basically, they sell laptops, tech, DVDs,
secondhand stuff as well.
Yeah. Everything's all secondhand.
I got this webcam from CEX.
I got my webcam from CEX. Wow,
yes.
big up CEX.
Represent.
I wouldn't recommend buying hard drives from CEX though, because
Hey!
they will always take them and they never test if they're actually working. So you can get just a terrible drive that has mechanical failure.
That does speak for all CEXs, and you get a 2-year warranty. So if you have any problems, you're welcome to bring it back.
Yeah, but the amount of money that you save from buying CEX, it's just not worth the risk of bringing a hard drive home and then having to go back the next day and hand it in and then waiting to buy another one.
Completely.
I mean, like, I know you've probably got a bit of brand loyalty in your blood there, Izzy, but yeah.
She doesn't want to say anything too bad because she could lose her job.
I'm sending this to your manager. I actually know our manager as well. We play Among Us.
Yeah.
How many of your co-workers would you say radiate NPC energy? To what extent would you say that you radiate NPC energy when you're at the till? Obviously, with the coronavirus, you haven't had much sales experience recently.
I haven't worked at CEX now for, well, it's been nearly 3 months now because of COVID. But I don't. It's so weird because like at the till, compared to what goes on like next to the till, because we basically, like, the way our stores are laid out is we have a till like here, and then we've got like our test bay, which is like blocked off so customers can't really see or hear it. Like, no NPC energy in the test bay. Like, obviously I can't say like too much because I don't want to lose my job, but we're a lot more chilled out when we're not like facing customers. But I think all of us, to a pretty good degree, just go on like full retail mode when we're serving, unless it's like a chill customer who really wants to have a conversation. But like a lot of the people in the town that I work in just kind of very much just want to get the thing, give the money, and go.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
so many people, you like try and strike up a conversation. You're just like, "Hey, how's it going? Oh, I've played this. It's really cool. Have you played it before?" kind of thing, and they just stare at you blankly. And obviously, I try to maintain that like upbeat energy because it's my job to do so. But after a certain point, sometimes it is very much just going through the motions.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think I'm a little bit guilty of some NPC energy.
Sometimes you have to be though, because like just in order to, because retail, like we all four of us, like including Sean, we've all worked in retail,
Yeah.
and some
When you're
days
like trying to be upbeat for 8 hours, it's just not
it's
happening.
so
You need
draining.
to
It's
dip
so
into
draining.
the energy.
Sometimes you will just get a fucking idiot who comes in.
Mhm.
Like I
Yeah.
remember because I worked at a butcher's. I worked at the butcher's section of Morrison's supermarket. And God, one day some guy came in and he was like, "Will this fit in my oven?" It's like, "How big's your fucking oven?" And
I
then,
love
and then like another guy came in and he brought in a fully cooked piece of meat. It was cooked. It was wrapped in tin foil, and he was like, "Can I get a refund for this, please? It was too fatty." And I'm just sat there thinking to myself, like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this?
what do you do with a cooked meat?
Like I don't even work in there a few months, so I don't know anything about giving refunds for meat.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Definitely not.
So
No.
I took it off him. I was like, yeah, mate. Tell you what, I'll print, like, just bring whatever you want to the till, and because obviously, like, we don't actually they don't give us money and we give them a receipt or
No,
anything.
it's all paid for at the till, isn't it?
Yeah, we just wait and
Yeah,
slap a sticker
you just
on
like
it. Yeah.
the
So
label.
I said to him, "Tell you what, mate, you bring it to me. I'll put it on the scales and just override the price to be like 1 pence, and you can take it to the till." And it was like, "Yeah, okay."
Yeah, okay.
And I walked around the aisles with this fucking like bit of meat that was dripping with grease from the tinfoil,
Oh,
looking for my manager, just been like, what do I do with
What to
this?
do? Yeah,
And
no,
it was like, yeah, just give that to me, I'll bin it.
so that guy actually did get the refund.
Well, I mean, technically, he just got a replacement bit of meat because he'd
Oh,
already
okay.
cooked it.
But like, some people just have such balls. Like,
Why did he return it though? Why did he cook it and then decide, "Oh, I want to return this"? What happened?
He just said, "Oh, it was really fatty." That's all he said. It was like, I don't like this. It's really fatty. I want
Right.
another one."
I know, but the way meat is packaged is you can see it. It's in like, it's just wrapped in like, what do you wrap it in? Like cling film or something? Or...
Yeah,
it's usually,
Like you can see the meat. If it looks too fatty, get another bit.
yeah.
But no, customers will always like give them an inch, they will take a mile.
Yeah,
There are some
absolutely.
people, like we've at CEX, we've got like a 48 hours return policy, and it's basically so that like if you change your mind, then you can bring it back and you can get a voucher. But
Is
so
he-
many people just use that to rent stuff,
Yeah.
and like I know that they can, but like some people will just be like, "Yeah, I finished it all, didn't really like it, want all my money back." And then they get mad about like a voucher when it's like that's just the policy. You played the whole damn thing,
Yeah.
and now you want your full money back. Like that's not how this works.
Is he? There was a story you told me and Connor before, which I think it was like just stories of people bringing stuff in that's clearly stolen.
Oh yeah.
And then you still have to take it because that's like the policy or something.
Yeah.
So what is it? You can't call the police
Well,
or something?
basically, with hardware that's got like a serial number, we've got a database that we put that serial number into. 99.9% of the time, it flashes up green. It's good to go. It's not been reported stolen by the police or anything. It's fine. But that like 0.1% of the time where it comes up red and that serial number or MEI number, if it's a phone, if it comes up red, then it means that it has been reported. But basically, we can't like hold those goods or anything. We just have to tell the customer we can't buy it off them because it's been reported as stolen. Because like there is a tiny, tiny chance that there has been a mistake with the police and that said serial number. I think maybe like 2 customers I've served in my long time there. There was just a mistake with the serial number. They were genuinely confused. They were just like, it's just my old phone. I've had it for years.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, they have to go to the police and be like, hi, what to do? But yeah, if stuff is very clearly stolen and like I'm taking off all of the plastic wrap and there's like 3 things that are identical and brand new, you just kind of have to smile through it, because like you obviously I could never like I can't accuse somebody just like, oh, so where'd you get these, huh? Because
Yeah.
like you don't do that. So we do a thing where we bulk buy stuff. So if somebody's got multiple of the same thing, or the same type of thing, like if somebody brings in 10 sealed Blu-rays, then I will send off like a bulk buy request. But usually they only take off, like our price team is they'll take off like 10 or 15%.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because basically it's just to stop us having a load of the same stuff, because like there's no way we're going to shift like 20 pairs of headphones all identical. Like not many people need headphones like that, and they'll probably go and buy them brand new, because even though they are technically new, because our grading system is like A grade is mint brand new, people still have the stigma of secondhand goods. So
Yeah.
they would much prefer to go and buy them from like the retailer. So yeah, the concept of our like bulk buying is just to prevent us from having like a load of the same stuff.
Did I have I told you the story about when I tried to trade in 2 copies of Dragon's Dogma for a new copy of Dragon's Dogma?
Yes.
Please tell it again.
Oh,
Please do.
it's so
Tell it on the
embarrassing.
podcast. It's hilarious.
So I had 2 copies of Dragon's Dogma Daca Risen for the Xbox 360, and neither of them worked. I bought both of them secondhand, and like I think they worked like both to a certain point. Like I could get past the menu, got into the game, could play for like 10 minutes, and the game would crash, and I'd have to take it out. The disc looked fine. Like there wasn't anything wrong with the laser reader on my Xbox, because I could play any other game just fine. So I ended up taking both of my copies to trade in to Granger Games, and then I brought a third copy back to the till, thinking that it was just going to be like, NPC vibes. The guy wasn't going to give a shit. He was just going to be like, yep, okay, here's your game. But no, he called me out on it, and I had to sit there and stammer through, like, lying through my teeth, trying to look for an excuse as to why I was trying to trade in 2 copies of the same game for a third copy of the same game.
I would have just like sent in a friend with the money.
Yeah,
like did you not think of that?
Well, Joe and Lana were both with me, but like they knew that I was the one with the
We
trading.
didn't go in with them. We didn't go in. We stood back and watched from a distance.
That's so funny.
I think eventually I traded them both in for cash, and then went and bought another copy from a different shop.
Very smart.
Yeah. There was also that time, I'm going to tell this story again for like the millionth time now for the podcast, because I told it yesterday and it was really funny, and I'm going to tell it again. My original Xbox collection.
Oh boy.
I had so many games. Like the Xbox market was flooded with bad games, because like it was really easy to get a license to make third-party games for the original Xbox. And I want to say I at one point had maybe a quarter of the entire Xbox library, like 250 games, not all at the same time. Obviously, I'd trade some in every now and again, or like some would break, or I'd give some away to like friends or cousins or whatever. But I had a big Xbox collection, and at one point I did still have like maybe 70 games, something like that, along with my original Xbox. And one year for Christmas I got an Xbox 360, and it came with Blue Dragon and Neverwinter Nights. Blue Dragon's actually a really good game. It was made by the people. It was directed by the people who made Dragon Ball and Final Fantasy.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Thank you for the fun fact.
Really good RPG. And Neverwinter Nights is a hack and slash game. It was good. It was a good tech demo for the Xbox 360, I'd say. But I didn't have a memory card, and so anytime I wanted to play the game, I'd basically play the first couple of hours of the same game over and over again. Like the first couple of hours of the same game, and I just couldn't get past that until I actually got a memory card. But my mum still wanted me to play on the Xbox 360 more. She didn't want me to spend so much time with my original Xbox. So she told me, Connor, tomorrow I'm going to go into town, and I'm going to take your original Xbox and all of your games. I'm going to trade them in, and we're going to get you some Xbox 360 games and maybe a memory card. And I was like, yes.
Sounds great.
Yes.
How can it go wrong?
How could it go wrong? So the next day I went to school. I was so hyped to get home. That 3 o'clock bell rang. I walked home, fastest pace I could, Mach 1. Got through the door. What do I see? New Xbox 360 games, new Xbox 360 memory card, Halo 3, something along those lines. No, Resident Evil 4 for the fucking Nintendo Wii. with one of those like plastic little light gun holders that you could use to really enhance your survival horror experience. And I straight up told
so much more immersive.
I straight up told my mom, I don't want this. I'm probably not gonna play this. So she was like, okay. And then she still went, and then she went and gave it to one of my cousins, and I never got it back.
That's just like the saddest story I've ever heard. Like,
I'm just trying to imagine the
breaks my heart.
conversation like between your mum and whoever was working at the store. Like, you don't want those Xbox 360 games. Try this. Your son will love it.
Well,
And she's like,
at the
You
time,
never actually said, did you have a Wii at the time?
oh,
just
yeah,
to like,
yeah.
okay.
No, he didn't even have a Wii.
I was like, you just got a random ass game for something that you didn't even have.
Yeah, this will work on the 360 one.
Well, you know, at the time, motion controls were still like all the rage. Like, you know, we didn't really like. Sean, you've just exhaled pretty loudly there. Do you have anything to say about that?
No,
It's
just thinking about the Wii.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, you know, like my cousins had a Wii and stuff, and I loved the Wii when I first played it. It was like I played Wii boxing. I'd play like guitar.
Yeah, bowling.
I'd play Guitar Hero with like the wireless controller and shit. It was great. So my parents got me one. I didn't really have that many games for it. I had like Twilight Princess and like The Sims 3. The Sims 3 was actually really fun on the Nintendo Wii. But like I still like the novelty wore off very quickly for me.
Yeah, I bet it did. Yeah, because I was never allowed like a Wii console when I was younger. But whenever I went to like my friends' houses, they'd be like, "Oh, we're gonna play Wii Sports," and I was like, "Fuck yeah!" It was like the most exciting ever. But I can see how just like I only thoroughly enjoyed it because I was like at a friend's house. It was like a novelty to me. But if you play Wii Sports every day, it would like definitely die out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
We were talking yesterday about like how the Wii was heavily marketed as like a family-friendly console, weren't we? But then some of the really like weird, obscure horror games and stuff that were just on the Wii.
Not even that obscure, just like Resident Evil for the Wii.
I mentioned Cursed Mountain.
Yeah.
That's the best Wii horror game I ever played, and I only played a few of them, so it's not really not really saying much. But I mean, it was a really good horror game, like anyways, and I'm pretty sure if it came out on PC or something like that, I'd love to play it. It was
Never gonna happen, but
yeah. Well, I mean, like being lost in a forest is pretty scary, but being on a fucking mountain that's like I'd say mountaintops are like an underused horror setting.
Yeah,
because it's so like unknown to like most normal people anyway. Like most normal people have taken a walk in a forest, might be getting a little bit dark, but how many people do you know have actually like climbed a mountain and got lost?
It's just the isolation factor. It's like, in space no one can hear you scream. It's like if you scream on top of a mountaintop, who the fuck is gonna hear you? Like still like obviously
Probably wolves.
if you scream in space, it's like it's a given. No one hears you scream because sound doesn't travel. But another thing we talked about yesterday when we were talking about the Wii and my original Xbox games is the fact that those Xbox games probably worth quite a bit now.
Yeah, no, we talked about like what was it, artificial value of things.
Yeah, well, it's crazy because I predicted that the Xbox 360 will be sort of like the last generation of gaming hardware where the games are going to get like more expensive and rarer as time goes on because everything's digital now. I mean, you can download Xbox 360 games digitally as well, but I mean the same way you can download GameCube games digitally or pretty much any console digitally. Like, but like for actual physical collection's sake, I feel like Xbox 360 games had way more value in terms of collector's editions and.
There was some really nice collector's editions for the 360, like stuff. I think that was probably, I mean, the PS3 never really had many collector's editions like Xbox 360 did, but I'm thinking of like the Fable one that's like the book and you've got the coin and the set of cards and stuff.
Yeah.
Like after that for like Xbox One and like the current, well, not current anymore, but like past generation, they just kind of stopped caring about like nice physical collector's editions because a lot of stuff is online.
Yeah. Oh, John's turned his camera off.
On? Sean, you good, buddy?
Okay, that's totally fucked up the orientation of the webcams.
I'll tell you what, Persona 5 Royal came in like a really nice steelbook.
Yeah,
it's so pretty.
Persona 5, like all the fancy stuff was really, really
That
nice.
had some good collector's edition.
I am a slut for a good steelbook. That is
Yeah, I
one
am. It looks
thing.
so good.
Yeah, like even though we don't really get as many like collector's editions with stuff anymore, I will say that a lot of games do have nice steelbooks these days.
Yeah,
Like
that's true.
most new releases that are like kind of hyped will have a steelbook edition. Like The Last of Us 2 had a really nice one,
Mm-hmm.
and they're just so satisfying. Like I like to just tappy tap.
God, I should have bought the Oblivion collector's edition. £10. It was 10.
That's your like biggest regret.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, it is.
I'll keep an eye out for it.
So this is a topic that I wanted to bring up yesterday, but we didn't get around to it. So we were talking about Gina Carano, we were talking about Nazis. Bungie accidentally included a Hitler Youth slogan in Destiny as a mission description.
Oh.
What is it?
You know what? Let me Google it because I didn't actually read the full thing. Bungie Hitler Youth. Let's just. Those are 3 words.
That's a totally normal search.
Those are 3 words I never thought I'd string together in a sentence. Okay.
Oh, well, that's dumb. No, right.
It's called Blood and Honor.
The title was just Blood and Honor, and the German Hitler Youth also used that slogan.
Yeah, but
I feel like that is a bit of a not like a reach because like obviously if the Hitler Youth slogan cool, but yeah, I feel like Blood and Honor is like
those are just words.
That's like that's just like a kind of phrase that gets chucked chucked around a lot.
Are people outraged about this or?
But I mean, apparently they were outraged enough for Bungie to be like, "Sorry, we'll change it."
Oh,
that's
Jesus.
like I guess if people are upset about something and it doesn't hurt you to change it, then that's not like the biggest deal. But I don't understand why it's such a big deal.
You know what outrage culture is like these days.
Oh,
people will just find anything to kick off about. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of that. Have any of you guys seen Mythic Quest? John, I'm pretty sure I urged you to watch it.
Yeah, the Netflix show. I never got around to it.
It's not on Netflix. It's on Apple TV, and I actually just had to resort to using a dodgy website to watch it. But it's essentially the same writers as It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So like it's got Rob McElhenney in it as well. Really funny actor, really funny writers, and it's about like a fictitious game development company. It's sort of like a parody, like it sort of like plays on all of the tropes of like gaming culture and the gaming industry. And in one of the episodes, they name dropped Kotaku. They said, "Oh, Kotaku wrote an article about our game. The game's called Mythic Quest. It's like an MMO." And they were like, "Oh, that's great. It's a." And they were like, "Oh yeah, it's #1 in the world." It's like, "Oh, that's excellent." It was like among Nazis, and they were like, "Oh, okay."
Oh, no.
So they form an ethics committee in the episode, and I won't spoil too much of it. But basically, they decide like, okay, we're gonna have to ban a certain portion of our player base. Who we're gonna ban? It's like, oh, we'll ban Nazis, we'll ban paedophiles, anti-Semites. But then it just goes on to stuff like, oh, we're going to ban National Rifle Association members and we're going to ban non-voters because they're also kind of problematic. And the whole joke of the episode is like, okay, where do we stop? If we're going to ban people for their political beliefs, it's like, where do we draw the line on like what is acceptable and what isn't? And Nazi is like pretty, like, you know, if you're a Nazi, I'd say like you're scum of the earth kind of person. But should you still? I
think you draw the line when people start threatening other people. Like, there's no. I don't think there's any real way that you're gonna figure out that somebody's a Nazi online unless they physically tell you and try to intimidate you with the fact that they're a Nazi.
Exactly, like they're not going to just tell you straight up or just like have it in their bio or on their gamer tag, just hey, by the way, I'm a Nazi.
In the episode, what they do is like to solve the problem that they have with the Nazis is they include a bunch of like things with like they include like a black lightning logo, and it's obviously just like an SS logo, but they like hold the hands up and like, oh, it's not to do with Nazis, but all of the supposed Nazis use it like proudly because they think that like the developers are showing solidarity towards them, and so they get like all of the Nazis and they put them on like their own little server, like a jail server where they have no access to talk to anybody else other than other Nazis.
Surely that's just like brewing something worse though.
What to have all the Nazis on their own server? The dog is kicking off.
But what was I saying? Just like keeping them all together, like just like it's basically just an echo chamber for Nazis. Which I don't know. I don't see that as a fantastic idea. But I mean, obviously, like keeping them away from other people is smart. But yeah, just the Nazi echo chamber doesn't sound delicious to
Well,
me.
I mean, Nazi echo chambers are going to exist elsewhere on the internet. So
That is true. That's very true.
Like, if they have something to do with your product, then you're going to want to keep them all in one place.
Yeah,
I mean, you're not obliged to provide a service to anyone.
If you want money, if you want money from them, you are.
Well, that's if you want money from Nazis, sure.
Well, it's a fictitious episode. Like, it doesn't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not that deep.
Well, speaking of game-related media, we talked yesterday. Mortal Kombat has got a new trailer. The old movie, cheesy as fuck, but I love it. But the new movie actually looks really well. It looks really high budget. It looks really well produced.
It's one of those things, though, where, and I'm not saying Asian movies are bad because they're not. Like, there's a lot of really good Asian movies, Train to Busan and everything. But it's one of those ones where you haven't heard of it. Like, you haven't, like, where's it come from? No actor in it that you know. Not even, like, popular Asian actors.
Well, there is one popular Asian actor that I recognised. He was in The Last Samurai, and he plays who does he play? I can't even remember, but he's in it.
But yeah,
I don't think you necessarily need popular actors of any sort of background if it's such like a popular thing in itself. Like, it's Mortal Kombat.
I know, but like, there's also Death Note movies, which are like not even just the one on Netflix. Like, there's also a Dragon Ball Z live action movie. Like,
don't get me started. Don't get me started.
I feel like a lot of live action anime just makes people want to die.
The Dragon Ball one, no, I can't even think about it. It is one of the worst, like, not even just one of the worst like adaptations I've ever seen. It's one of the worst films I've ever seen.
I remember
what did you think of the Death Note movie though? Have you all seen it? I
didn't watch it.
I don't want to watch it.
There's one good scene in the Dragon Ball. It's called Dragon Ball Evolution. There's one good scene. It's set in modern day, which is already just like a total slap in the face to the source material. Because Dragon Ball is sort of like it's sort of like pseudo futuristic. Like, everything is like really artistic and weird. But there's a scene where Goku goes to a house party, and some bullies try to smash his head in, and he does he basically gets them to fight each other, and he doesn't lay a hand on them. But he knocks them all anyways, and that was a cool scene. I mean, I don't know what it is about movies, but if there's a film scene where the bully gets their comeuppance, I think it's always pretty cool. Like, have you seen like the Spider-Man, all the Spider-Man movies apart from like Homecoming and Far From Home have scenes where Peter Parker does something to like embarrass Flash Gordon. And it's always so satisfying to see.
Yeah, it's like, that feels good. Yeah.
Did you guys also see? I mean, we talked about this yesterday, so you do know who it is now. But Pedro Pascal from The Mandalorian has been cast as Joel for the HBO series.
And Lyanna Mormont is Ellie.
Yeah, the little girl who plays Lyanna Mormont is playing Ellie, which personally I mean, Pedro Pascal, I think they can get away with it. I really wanted Nikolai Costa-Waldau because the resemblance between him and Joel is uncanny, especially if you look at like the later seasons of Game of Thrones, where he's sort of like a bit more grey and rugged.
Oh yeah, you popped like the comparison picture in the chat.
Yeah, no, it's night and day, I reckon. But I think Pedro Pascal can get away with it. What I find weird is the fact that like I wanted Nikolai Costa-Waldau, who's obviously a Game of Thrones actor, and now they've cast Pedro Pascal and Lyanna Mormont. The name escapes me, but they're all Game of Thrones actors. Do you reckon this is just like HBO picking from their own talent pool? Because
it definitely could be. Because I mean, like, look at the BBC and stuff. They just like chuck around the same actors all the time.
Netflix use the same actors.
Not necessarily a bad thing. Because like what was I gonna say? Like, they don't get known for one thing. Like, you look at Daniel Radcliffe and you see Harry Potter. That is just, he is cursed with that for life. But I think with like these actors like not establishing one big thing, but like constantly kind of going around and doing different things, like you don't see them as one character. You see them as the actor playing that character at the time, which I think is okay. I think that's good.
Yeah, it's good not to get typecast.
Definitely.
I mean, we spoke about this a little bit yesterday, but I mean, like the Witcher series, I watched it. I've just finished rewatching it. It's still a 10 out of 10 for me. I still really enjoyed it.
I love Yeah.
I thought that I thought going back into it and rewatching it, I'd sort of like get a bit of I thought like the first time I watched The Witcher. I mean, I love The Witcher anyways. You know what I mean? I've got the tattoos and shit. Where are they? There they are. I've got like the Witcher tattoos. And like I'm just a big fan of the source material, so I was already in on The Witcher. But I think one of the big reasons I enjoyed it so much was because season 8 of Game of Thrones just it put a hole in me, and I needed something to fill the hole. I think a lot of people were in the same boat, and The Witcher filled that boat of like dark fantasy TV show.
Definitely. And what was nice was it didn't just appeal to people who liked The Witcher. It was well made enough that people who had never consumed any Witcher content before could enjoy it. Because like I'd never played The Witcher, I'd never read it, even though I have plans to, and I thoroughly enjoyed the series. At first, I didn't like fully understand like the different timeline thing going on. It didn't entirely make sense, but it was still enjoyable because it was really well made. So I think they did that really well. It didn't have like an entry level.
To be fair, I mean, it's pretty complicated. I've read the books and I didn't understand the TV show first time I watched it.
Yeah, I don't think
why they're doing this.
Very clear, like when and where things were necessarily, but that didn't stop it from being enjoyable. And I think to an extent, you just kind of had to let it like wash over you. You just take it all in. Would probably benefit from a second watch.
Definitely
I might
benefit
do
from
that
a
at some
second
point.
watch. Yeah,
Because I think the second watch always makes you pick up on more stuff that you didn't see before. So I'll get around to that.
Well, I mean, I think what I was really thinking about is just how far game media has come.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it, like the Last of Us HBO series is probably going to be good. No guarantees, but I mean, Pedro Pascal's he's a really good actor. He's probably like he can carry the show. He definitely has the potential to carry the show, the same way that Henry Cavill definitely had the potential to carry The Witcher, which he did.
I mean,
he did.
Yeah.
He is a gorgeous, gorgeous man.
Yeah, he definitely carried the show. But I mean, the way, like
you guys see the video of him building his PC.
Yeah.
Just like so many women just like drooling over him. Like I'm not saying that that's necessarily okay, because if the tables were turned and it was like a woman and like guys were just like drooling over her building a PC, that would be kind of probably gross. But it was just like really bizarre to watch.
Yeah, it's I saw a picture on Reddit and it was around the same time that everyone was like, Keanu Reeves was like, "You're breathtaking, and everyone was just fangirling over Keanu Reeves. And there was Toy Story. There's a picture where Andy just drops Woody and says, "I don't want to play with you anymore." It's that, but it's like a picture of Keanu Reeves because everyone was just talking about Henry Cavill.
Oh, he's just man.
I think the sort of evolution of game media as a whole has a lot to do with marketing and how marketers now, because we spoke about this as well, not yesterday but a few weeks ago, how back in the day there was like a lot of generic brown military shooters because marketers didn't really understand the gaming world. They didn't understand what it is that gamers want to see. They didn't understand how defensive people can get over source material, especially like gamers do that quite a lot. Especially if it's like, if it's a game that's pretty popular. Like, I know a lot of people are really skeptic about the Witcher series. A lot of like mega fans still really don't like it because they don't see it as like a faithful enough adaptation of the books or the games.
It's more faithful than the games, though, isn't it?
Well, yeah, The Witcher.
The games are set after the books, so they're not kind
I
of
was going to say they're at different times,
Yeah,
so you
fair
can't
enough.
actually like say if it's faithful or not, because they're kind of different things.
I think it portrays Geralt in a way that he would very much act.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think you only need to really look at the Sonic the Hedgehog movie to see that marketers do take notice now of gamers' reactions, because before it was just like they'll lap it up and buy it anyways. But then the sort of decline of
people have started to get standards.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like we were talking about this when like generic brown tinted military FPS games were all the rage back when Call of Duty was still really popular. It's like those games didn't sell, and the reason they didn't sell is because people got sick of them, and marketers took notice of that. Because if there's one thing marketers take notice of, is when they're not making money.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, that's like the main purpose of their thing.
hmm
So yeah, it would make sense.
Have any of you played a game called Singularity before? Just while we speak about shooters.
I've never played it,
No.
but that was another one of those like. I mean, obviously it had its own mechanics and stuff like that, but it was another one of those generic shooters.
It came out during that time, and a lot of people said, "Oh, it's like a Bioshock clone." Because I remember I was playing it back on the PS3, and one of the guys in my friends list said, "Like, why are you playing that? Just play Bioshock; it's much better." But I really like Singularity. I think if it had been tweaked a bit more, and maybe it'd come out a few years earlier, I think it would have been really successful.
Medal of Honor. I really like the multiplayer for Medal of Honor.
Which the 2011 one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was done by DICE.
Yeah,
It was done
yeah.
by DICE.
It was really good. It was sort of like, it was like a hybrid Battlefield Call of Duty game.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed it as well, to be honest.
Yeah, I even played Warfighter. Played a bit of Warfighters PvP as
Oh,
well.
did you?
Yeah, that was really
That
good.
game reviewed so badly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's so weird to me because I would have thought that Medal of Honor was like a big enough franchise by itself. Like I thought that like the first Medal of Honor game that came out, that would have been like that series is Modern Warfare 4, Modern Warfare 1. You know what I mean?
That's what they were trying to do, though, but it just didn't really work. Did it?
Yeah.
I think if Medal of Honor had come first, it probably would have been like really well received. But it's just
Yeah.
because Modern Warfare came first, and it was great.
Yeah, for sure. This year in Elden Ring news, speaking of HBO, J.R. Martin is working on a new show with them.
Oh.
And what to me, what this says is if he's got time enough to work on a new show with HBO, then that means that his part with FromSoft is probably done.
You think?
He was just writing lore anyway, wasn't he?
Well, yeah, but I mean, he probably wrote a story for the game as well.
Yeah.
It depends. I mean, if Elden Ring's just hit a point where it's like ceased a lot of development, he probably does have a lot of free time.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't, this is what I'm saying. I don't know if Elden Ring ceased development or if his part in the story is done. Like he's
COVID has had like a massive effect on producing games in the way that it used to be done. So it's only like it's possible they've run into issues basically, and they've just decided to hold back. Because I mean, Miyazaki's getting quite old now. He must be in his like 40s or 50s. So obviously there's health concerns for members of staff as well because they're like more vulnerable to COVID. But I don't know.
Well, one thing that hasn't changed about the way that games are made is that some people just don't know how to do it properly. And this is a story, once again, we talked about this yesterday, but we're going to reiterate it. A developer on Steam put his name to very positive and got banned.
Big dick move.
His game was called Emoji Evolution, and it looked atrocious. I'm not going to lie, it looked fucking bad. And he then went to Twitter to cry about it to his 100 followers, begging people to make content on the game, and kept on tagging a bunch of like news outlets like PC Gamer and stuff, trying to just like, you know, like stir the pot a little bit because he's got his 10 minutes of fame. He doesn't want to leave the spotlight just yet. Yeah.
The thing I did find shady about it is that Steam like banned him, and it didn't seem like they gave him any sort of like chance to redeem himself. Like they didn't say, "Hey, if you change your name, we won't get rid of you." They just said like out, which I think it was quite unfair because Steam like seem to have a very like no tolerance policy when things are kind of affecting them, but they're not too bothered about like things affecting their players.
It
Would have been nicer if they kind of gave him a chance as a smaller creator, even if what he was making wasn't like anything unique, fantastic, amazing, mind-blowing. Like I think he could have been given a chance.
Yeah, well, we brought this up yesterday, didn't we? Because we were talking about asset flippers, like people who just buy asset packs and cobble together a game out of them like really poorly and just release it for like 50 pence a pop, just in the hopes that
will buy it,
just in the hopes that some little like bargain bin gamer is gonna like play it for like 20 minutes or whatever. And like Steam don't care about them. Steam allow that shit all over the place. Like if you go to Steam right now and like filter by price and like have a look at like the cheapest games on Steam, I guarantee 9 out of 10 of them are terrible. They're terrible. They're terrible because they're just low effort, just shovelware.
I want to see what the cheapest game on Steam is now. I'm gonna do that. You guys carry on.
Probably.
Bad Rats. Do you remember that, Joe?
Yeah.
Remember? I think Leonard or Chris bought me a copy of that.
I have it as well. I think Leonard bought me it.
Yeah. Yeah, he bought me for Christmas, and I've still never played it, not once.
I actually played Bad Rats.
I'm gonna play
I've
it.
played it like once.
I'm gonna play it for a video soon.
It's not good.
But yeah, no, it's like Valve don't care if anything affronts gamers, but they care if anything affronts them. I mean, it is their platform; they can do whatever they want, but it is a bit unethical because that's his whole career.
Gamers are the most oppressed minority.
Gamers rise up. Yeah. What else? I've got some more topics that we didn't talk about yesterday. Electronic Arts has acquired Codemasters.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so now they're just going to make more racing games.
Huh.
But if there's one thing that we should know by now about Electronic Arts acquiring developers is that if you don't make that money, Papa EA is going to shut you down straight away. So
You're going to the farm with the rest of them.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'm really not a big fan of this move. I mean, good for Codemasters. I like Codemasters games. I like Dirt. I think Dirt and Grid are both really good games. But like, it just strikes me as just a dangerous move because, like, you really can just get fucked over by EA because they own you. It's
Very
not like
true.
it's not even like they're investing in companies or anything like that. Or like publishing games for them. I mean, they are publishing games for them, but they are like if EA made their own console, they'd have so many developers to make first party games for them. God forbid that ever happens, because a console made by EA would just be the worst.
Have you seen about the KFC console?
Is
Yeah.
that an actual thing? I thought it was.
Yeah,
like,
it's real. No,
Well,
it's
I
real.
think they're kind of stalling on it because one of my friends, he's like he really fucking wants one. And he keeps like atting them on Twitter like KFC, where the fuck is my console? I want to buy it. Because they never really released like any price for it or anything, but he was just like, I'll pay £1,000 for it, I don't care. And I was just like, you're a psychopath. It's essentially just like a console with a heater on top for your chicken. That's all it is, as far as I'm aware. It's just a stupid ass gimmick, but like people will buy it, and that's why it's gonna be great.
Take-Two were apparently trying to acquire Codemasters as well, but EA put a much bigger number on the table, $1.2 billion.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That is spicy.
So now EA are going to get all of the racing games. Joe, this is something I wanted to talk to you about, because you own a PS5, so you've got first-hand experience of this.
Yep.
Has your controller started drifting?
If I'm honest, I hardly use the thing.
Right, okay.
Recently, I've just been using it to go on Crunchyroll to watch Erased and Attack on Titan, but I haven't noticed, but I heard it's like a really big issue at the minute, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's like, did you guys remember the Xbox One Elite controllers that came out?
Oh yeah, they were like £80 or something, weren't they?
Yeah,
They still are,
yeah,
or if not more.
They're super expensive and defunct.
Like, they're really nice to like use and hold, but they're not the best. I love all of the paddles and the attachments that you can have. Like, they seem like such a good idea, but in practice, I think they've got a few issues.
A class action lawsuit's now being levied against. Because it feels like every week we talk about class action lawsuits being levied against
we
some
should just
company.
have a section for class action lawsuits.
Sean, you need to bring your update in actually about the. Who was it? Valve one? The Valve one?
No, CG Project Red.
That's it.
They're issuing DMCA takedowns now for leaks on Cyberpunk's code. So people are trying to leak it.
Yeah.
Before we get into that, let me just finish this thought about this lawsuit though. But yeah, class action lawsuit being levied against Sony because apparently lots and lots of people have this issue with the controller sticks drifting to the point where it's like it makes games unplayable.
Yeah, didn't that happen with Nintendo as well with the Joy-Cons? I don't know if there was quite like a class action lawsuit or not.
I mean,
it's a bit shifty.
Huge problem.
It's a bit shifty as well because people are talking about planned redundancy, and like that is really shit if they're doing that.
Yeah.
Like if they're planning for them to like die off in a couple of years, so you have to buy another one.
Yeah, because like controllers are not cheap these days at all. Like PS5 controllers, what, like $59.99?
Yeah, I bought this PS4 controller for $49.99, and I bought this to play like Moonlighter and Skater XL.
Yeah, and like
it's a great controller.
It's like 80 quid, I believe.
Mhm.
And like a Joy-Con on its own can be like 45,
Yeah.
depending on where you're getting it. It's crazy. Because like it's an essential piece of kit for gaming,
Mhm.
but it's so much money.
Well, here's a bit of good news for you. Oh yeah, no, Sean. Actually, yeah. But before getting into that, let's talk a bit about CDPR.
Yeah.
There is room
Codes
to.
out there.
Yep. Well, I mean, how far can it spread, really?
I reckon. I don't know. Do you think one of us could get our hands on it if we tried?
I mean, if I booted up Tor, then I mean I could probably find something on it somewhere.
Like a real version though.
Probably not, no. But like again, I posed this question when we were talking about the hack. Like, who exactly is buying this? Because like it has to be a corporate entity, and they have to be doing it for, to learn industry secrets.
That would make sense.
In my mind, it might even be a Chinese company. Like I was watching Angry Joe Show News. I watch Angry Joe Show News sometimes because sometimes I get some stories from there that I can talk about here. Because obviously, like I'm not the first to report on anything that we talk about in the podcast ever. But yeah, Angry Joe, one of the hosts on that show, he brought up a good point. In China, like Chinese copyright laws and stuff like that, if CDPR wanted to do anything about a Chinese company that had their code, they'd have to go through the Chinese government, and the Chinese government, they're not gonna be bothered. Like, so you could, like, if you're a Chinese developer and you have CDPR's code and you change like a bunch of things, then you can get away with it with like near perfect impunity, which is a scary thought.
Definitely.
But yeah, if that's all we're talking about CDPR, then there's a bit of good news that I want to share with everyone. This is only really for Hitman players, but IO Interactive, guys who made the new Hitman games, you can import the locations, so all the missions from Hitman 1 and 2 into Hitman 3 at no additional cost.
Yay! I love that. That's
Yeah.
cool. That's
So,
very nice.
I mean, obviously you have to own all 3 games, but it just means that if you want to replay through the games, you only need to install one of them, and you can play them from start to finish in like a big long fucking like segment.
There's a lot of
It's really
missions.
pleasant. Yeah.
I'm not sure if any of the story elements remain in the game, or if it literally is just the locations.
The story will just be the cinematics.
Yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying. I'm not sure if the cinematics get told through the location still, or if it literally is just like they've just.
I mean, the cinematics can't be that big. It'll just be a couple megabytes.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I mean, it would be stupid if they didn't, but I mean, I don't have any information on whether or not that's confirmed or not. I own Hitman 1. I've been thinking about purchasing Hitman 3 because I do really like the Hitman games. I haven't played. The last Hitman Absolution. What did you guys think about Hitman Absolution?
I didn't like it.
Didn't capture me.
Have you played
it? No, it's not my thing. I'm afraid.
So the Hitman games have historically been very popular because they've just been, well, assassination simulators, with like background story that like you can just not pay attention to any of it and still have a good time. But Hitman Absolution tried to have an actual story that grounded you in a place and time, and like I mean
the old Hitman games had a story.
Yeah, they had
like a story that you could follow.
Yeah, but as I've just said though, you didn't have to follow it to like have a good time. Like you could literally just play it as a shooty head bang bang simulator and skip all of the cutscenes and literally just play it for the virtue of being able to just kill people. But but like Hitman Absolution, you can still do that to a certain extent with Absolution, but it takes a very different approach.
You could say that about Hitman 3 though as well, because there are story missions in Hitman 3 that aren't the same as regular missions.
Yeah, but can you choose to do them or not?
No, you have to do them. Like, there's a story mission where you go in and the ICA is after you, which is like the old company that you used to work for. So you can spot them instantly, but they can spot you instantly. So no disguises work, and you don't know where they are on the map. So you just have to walk around until somebody starts spotting you, and you're like, "Wait, who the fuck's that?"
I think that's about it for my topics. Do you guys have any topics that you want to talk about?
Yeah.
Monkey news.
Monkey news.
Right. So in monkey news this week, it's actually about monkeys.
Yeah. When you say
so-
monkeys, do you mean chimpanzees?
No, I mean monkeys.
Okay.
Real monkeys this time.
Yeah.
Wow.
In Brazil, right? They have developed a COVID vaccine for monkeys.
What?
And it's
Good.
helping prevent illness in Brazil because it's cheaper to make the monkey vaccine than it is to make the people vaccine. And since vaccinating all the monkeys that they've got tagged, there's been a 15% infection drop.
Which is
In
insane. Like
humans.
that's so cool. But I'm just a bit bummed out that monkeys in Brazil can get a vaccine, but I can't.
No, go back. I want to be monkey.
Music make you lose control.
Reject modernity, embrace tradition.
I'm monkey.
Good. That's good. It's good monkey news.
I
That's
love
brilliant
it.
monkey news. I wish my reaction was authentic, but Sean did tell me yesterday.
Yeah, mine's authentic. So.
Chimpanzee, that.
I wasn't really paying attention to when Sean told me, so that's pretty cool.
I love anything to do with monkeys.
There's also the new Steam releases.
Right, what new Steam releases have you got to tell us?
What have
We're
we got?
letting off some Steam, like.
What else in Steam?
Well, obviously,
Tempting.
obviously, the biggest game that's been out recently, Valheim. It's had 3 million copies sold, I think, in its first 2
Ooh.
weeks.
Overwhelming support, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Big numbers.
Low poly indie survival crafting game, third-person survival game with crafting elements. You know we love that.
Well, I mean, we did speak about this a while ago, and I said it was low poly, and you were like, it looks like PS1 graphics. No, you said it looked like Rust, and I said no, because Rust looks like a really good game.
The water looks like Rust. That's what I meant.
Right.
Really reflective water where it looks like there's grease on top of it.
Mm-hmm. What else has came out on Steam?
Pretty interestingly, game has come out called Warhammer 40k Daca Squadron. It's a bit of a flip on the usual Warhammer like RPGs or usually what do you call them? What do you call them? Strategy games. It's actually first off, you don't play as Space Marines, which is what the hell. You actually play as orcs, and it's a flying game. It's a flight sim.
So the question I posed to you yesterday was: are remasters a bad thing for the industry?
Well, we definitely kind of, I think, collectively came to the conclusion that it really, really depends on like what they are calling a remaster, because
it's a very loose definition, isn't it?
Definitely is, because sometimes they can go back and make everything like so much cooler, and you're happy to buy it again, or like even just to like have it on your shelf as a sort of collector's thing.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I've got this nice thing, but then sometimes they can be super scummy with like reskinning one thing and like chucking it out at a super high price point, and for what?
I think my biggest concern with remasters is that it opens the doors for a really predatory business practice, which is just re-releasing an old game with some higher quality textures, but nothing else. Like then it's not just the idea that like just because it works on modern hardware and it previously didn't, that somehow
that's classed as a remaster now.
Yeah,
and that doesn't count. I think that's incredibly unfair.
Yeah.
I think the bar needs to be higher for what, like, I know publishers just love money, so they're just like, yeah, remaster the game, we don't care. But I think the bar should be a little bit higher. Like, what have you actually done to improve the game? Why is this a remaster?
Yeah, like there should be, well, not necessarily should be, but like quality of life updates and stuff, as well as just making it look nicer and better.
Yeah.
Maybe even like adding things that were missed out before. There's not much you can do.
Remakes, I have no problem with remakes.
Yeah, remakes are getting into a really, really good territory at the minute.
Blue Point, we spoke about them before, but they are like the master of the remake.
Yeah, that's true. They're really good.
Yeah, I feel like I can't wait to see what Blue Point do next. Maybe something to do with Ico.
I would like that, but that game's really short. I think you can blast through it in about 2 hours, so I'm not sure if it'd be worth redoing that.
All the better for Blue Point, really. They don't really do much work on it.
No, but I think they put a lot of effort in him for a game that's that short. It'll have to be released at like a lower price point.
Yeah, Shadow of the Colossus is fairly short. You can blast through that in a day.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I know.
What do you consider a day though? Like
One sitting. You can
whole
finish
day,
it
like
in one sitting.
Yeah,
like 8 hours?
8 hours, I'd say, is like a decent a decent point for one day of gaming. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I'd
mean,
probably physically be able to do more than that.
Yeah, I mean, I speak for yourself. I can. 72 hours of Morrowind in one sitting.
That's not healthy.
Well, one sitting.
You should not be proud.
I got up to do things, obviously, but yeah.
To be fair, at like the start of the first lockdown, I was just like wake up, play Animal Crossing, didn't even get out of bed to like turn on my TV, then like just play all day, go to sleep, rinse and repeat. It was a sad life.
Yeah.
That's almost as bad.
When I was
All I did was play games as well.
when I was playing Counter-Strike, at the level that I was playing Counter-Strike at, which was sort of just uni level, but we were in like a top 10 position. So I was waking up, ignoring my uni work, playing Counter-Strike and just doing aim practice like 7 hours a day. Before like I did anything else with myself for the day. Like, it was ridiculous. But you need to put in a lot of effort if you want to make it anywhere in esports, and I just eventually decided that it really wasn't worth it. Plus, no one cares about university Counter-Strike. Like, I know you guys don't really know much about CS, and I promise I won't talk about it too long, because I know you don't really care either. But like Counter-Strike, like the Counter-Strike scene in the UK is really dead. Like, we have we have like a handful of pros, like maybe like 4 or 5 who play in like big teams, like international teams, and like even they're not very they're not great. Like they're like A tier teams, but like they'll never win anything massive. And you'd think that like university Counter-Strike would be a really good like grassroots movement to like build players up who have talent and potential.
Yeah.
But that's just not the case. It's really sad. I still have my my jerseys from both of the different teams that I played with in university, and I just look at them and I think to myself, like, I am.
Those were the glory days.
Well, no, I just think to myself, like, God, I really was never that good at Counter-Strike. I'm never going to go anywhere with the game, and this was probably a total waste of time that I could have spent doing anything else.
No, come on. You can't look at it like that.
Did you enjoy it at least?
No, that's the thing. I didn't.
Never mind.
I enjoyed.
Like, if you're happy, then it's fine.
I enjoyed competing. Like, when we're in the server, it's a 5v5. The games are fun. They're going well. Like, that was fun. You know what I mean? Like, when we were actually playing against other teams, I always enjoy playing against other teams. I like competitive games, but just the fucking mountain of hours I'd spend in offline servers just shooting at bots, trying to increase my aim by like a very like a fraction of a percentage is just like, it just wasn't worth it. But I never would have gotten to play in those competitive tournaments if I hadn't have done all that. So I mean, it's 6 and 2 threes.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up today, can you talk about speaking of your CS team? I think it would be good if you tell the story about the time that you were going to play in that competition, and a certain someone didn't inform you of certain details. Does that ring any bells?
Yeah.
Do you want to tell that story? Because I don't think you'll have ever heard this.
I would love to hear this.
I think it's really funny. It's like horrible, but it's funny.
I don't want to talk about. No, it's actually like, I want to cry. I want to cry when I think about it.
It still hits a nerve. It really like, you know.
So you know, Game like the shop.
Yeah.
They host their own tournament. And basically, like, you know, you'll sign up to play with them, and that like you'll have a tryout and stuff like that. And if you're good enough, you can represent one of the game stores. And I played for the Bradford Rams, and we played against a bunch of other game shops across the country. And in this tournament, if we won, we'd have got a lot of money, and we've got free tickets to go to Insomnia, which is this big big LAN event in the UK. And we got to the finals. We won the semi-final game. And the guy like, because obviously there was an employee in the shop with us at all times to make sure that we just didn't like steal anything, because obviously he had a lock up afterwards as well, because we played like after opening hours. And he told us that the tournament, remember the specific day, but he told us that the tournament, like the next time we were going to play, was going to be next Tuesday. I think it was next Tuesday, and then he told, and bearing in mind we were playing with a stand-in during this day as well. One of our players was absent. I think he was ill or something, and he was the one the guy that was absent was the one that was in contact with the employee that was hosting us, and so it rolls around to Saturday, a couple of days before we're expected to turn up at this tournament, and we get a message from him saying, "Are you guys heading out today to play?" And we're like, "No, like why would we be heading to the game shop today?" He said, "Oh well, yeah, no, the employee messaged me yesterday, he said, oh yeah, by the way, I got it wrong. It's not Tuesday, it's Saturday that you're playing."
Oh shit.
So because of a miscommunication error, we ended up defaulting to second place and not getting anything. We didn't even get to play.
Did you make it there?
No,
Or did you
no, we couldn't.
not?
People were at work. Like
Oh.
we couldn't
so
even. We
sad.
couldn't
That's
even.
not it.
We couldn't because it was in Bradford as well. And we were all in Leeds, so we
Yeah.
would have had to drive there. So it wasn't just like we could have just like ran.
Just like pop down the road.
Yeah, we could have just ran to the town centre and like played. So yeah, I missed out on possibly what could have been one of the biggest wins of my short-term Counter-Strike career because of a miscommunication.
That's so garbage.
Yeah.
Oh, that breaks my heart.
That was really sad for you. Still am, to be honest.
Yeah, I thought this was gonna be like a funny story.
No, it's
No,
Oh,
it's funny looking back. I've still got my Bradford Rams jersey upstairs. It was the last one that they had in the shop, and it doesn't fit me very well.
you'll have to show me at some point. I'd like to see all your jerseys. That'd be cool.
I've only got two, and the Bradford Rams one I bought it in the shop. It doesn't even have a name on it.
Just write it on in Sharpie.
The Becca Bears one does. That's a really nice jersey. I was the captain for that team.
Ooh, fancy.
Right, well, I think that's we can finally bring this podcast to a wrap. No one else has any topics.
One day I'll bring a topic, I promise. Just not today. I'm just here for a good time.
Try and bring something next week, because like I love it when you guys bring up things that I don't know what we're going to talk about.
A little element of surprise, add a little bit of spice.
Yeah. Right, well, if that's everything, then thank you everyone who's listened to, this far, and even if you've just dropped into the podcast for a little bit of a rest. This has been the Long Rest Podcast, episode 5. Tune in next week where we're talking a bit more about Monkey News. Hopefully we have another update on...
Monkey News.
Yeah, more Monkey News. Hopefully we get to know what Anthem's fate is by the end of next week.
probably not.
And we'll just see what happens in the gaming world. Until then, guys, thank you very much for watching. This is Sleep, G, Joseph, and Sean, and we'll see you later.
Yeah.